Hold on, we recording? Hold on, wait. I'm not ready yet. Let me give me some wine. Okay, we ready? 3, 2, 1, let's go. Hello and welcome. Cheers to each and every one of you playing this episode. Don't forget to stay in the know, to look out for our social media posts on Facebook and Instagram. The links are in the episode notes. What's going on, everybody? I am super excited to be here on another podcast episode. First, I just want to dive in and say, if you have not played the last episode, what are you waiting for? It's a conversation, an open discussion between me and Reese. We talked about so many things. We talked about relationships, politics, which you guys know I don't normally get into politics, but we did a lot of dissecting that I think that you need to hear. So if you have not played that, please pause this and go back and listen to it. And if it blesses your heart, or if there's something that's in there, sorry, that needs to be heard by someone you know, please share it. Please rate the podcast because I want to make sure that I am doing what it is I'm called to do. I want to make sure that when you listen to this, you're not just getting entertainment, that you're actually stirred up in your heart and God is tugging on you to just work on whatever the topic is for that moment, or showing you something that you need to see and aligning you with what His Word says. And that's why I try to put in at the end the episode notes, the videos, the sermons, the Bible verses, so that even if you take 5 to 10 minutes a day, or even if you still are learning how to spend time with God, even if you take one episode and dissect it with the Bible verse, there's your Bible time. Spend time with God, be consistent, be intentional. But I think that the last episode, oh my God, at the end, you guys had me cracking up. Like, you have to go listen to it to understand what I'm saying. But anyways, let's not focus on that. Let's get into this episode. So I'm super excited to talk about the topic today. I kind of don't know where I'm going to start. I guess I'm just going to let God have His way and start where I feel is best or wherever He leads me. Super excited to still be in season 3 because I know it just started. But we're still in our rerouting season, and I think this is perfect for what the title of this message will soon to be, or what the message overall has to offer. So first, I just want to start off by saying that you guys know that I am the biggest advocate for my podcast. Like, I listen to these episodes, even though I sit here and I record them. I go back and I listen to them. I make sure that it makes sense. I make sure that it aligns with God's word and what He would have me say. And if I don't feel led to share something, I don't. I always go back and edit. I always add episode notes. I take time to make sure that whenever you hear me, you hear something that's going to feed your spirit and challenge your soul. So I really hope that this is what this podcast is doing. But I said all that to say that earlier I was listening to the last podcast episode, because even though, I was there and I recorded the video, there's actually a video of the last podcast episode that I did, and I'm going to eventually create a YouTube channel for my visuals so that you guys can go in there and watch the video and see the actual interactions, because I'm telling you, that last video, oh my God, so hilarious. I laughed so hard, just like my interaction, his interaction, like even the a couple of other ones that I've done live. I have like maybe 4 or 5 live that I did. So I'm going to eventually get around to putting those on YouTube so that you guys can enjoy them, comment, share, and get to see the back footage of what goes on behind the scenes when I'm doing these live episodes. However, I was looking on Spotify, and have you ever gone on there and it says, let me actually pull it up, and you guys may hear me clicking and everything in the background, but that's okay because I do not want to tell a lie. So let me put up my Spotify app, okay, so when I pulled it up, it cut it off. So anyways, once you go on Spotify and you actually click on the Grateful Together podcast, you will see where it says more like this. It'll have like the category is business, which I'm not business. I don't know why it's categorized like that, because it's not done like that in Apple Podcasts. And yeah, I changed it again in Anchor, but it didn't change over. So anyways, whatever. More of the story is this. Once you see it, you click on the button that says more like this, and it slides to the right, and it'll say, we couldn't find anything. We couldn't find anything. First of all, I think about when that happened to me earlier, I think about the fact of I know a million and one, like, billion of people who have podcasts out, especially talking about business. Even though that's not particularly where I talk about, I do personally listen to podcasts, specifically business and saving and entrepreneurships, things like that. So it's like I know people who have podcasts, famous, regular smuggler, like, you know what I'm saying? Basic podcasts. I know people who have business podcasts. So when I go on there, and I do have, like I said earlier, I don't know if it got cut off or not, but I do have Apple Podcasts downloaded, and I also have Spotify on my phone because I know that everybody doesn't listen on Apple and everybody doesn't listen on Spotify. But I want to make sure that wherever you're listening at, you get to see and hear it correctly. It's written correctly. Everything that you need is there. So I have both of those downloaded, and I have downloaded every episode, and I listen to it to make sure that it plays correctly. All the above, okay? So, um, I went on there, and when I saw that we couldn't find anything, my mind immediately went to, you were created for this. And this is not, like I said, it's not even, it wasn't even a part of my message. This is not even what I want to talk about. But I feel like somebody needs to hear that. The fact that there's a million people in this world that have podcasts about business. But when I go to click on there and I hear more like this, and I see we couldn't find anything, that lets me know that what I'm doing is where I'm supposed to be. Where I am is where I'm supposed to be. What I do is what I'm supposed to do. Because why? God handpicked me to do this. And I'm not talking about the same thing every day. There's a different topic. We talk about all kinds of things. Like I said in the last episode, we had an hour, originally like 2 hours of footage. I lost 30 minutes of it, but I ended up editing like another 30. So I think all of it was like 72 minutes long. But in that 72 minutes, we talked about everything. We talked about culture. We talked about relationships. We talked about politics. We talked about fake news. We talked about propaganda. Like, we talked about a lot of things. So there's a lot of people out here talking about a lot of different things in podcasts about business. So when I go there and I see we couldn't find anything, that lets me know that what I'm doing is what I'm supposed to be doing. And that reminds me that God chose me before I was even doing this. Before I signed up and said, yes, God, I'm going to be obedient to do my podcast, God had already called me to do this. And I just want to remind you that even in an oversaturated world, you are called to do whatever it is that God calls you to do. I don't care if it's on your corporate job. I don't care if it's at home. I don't care if it's in your marriage. I don't care if it's in your friendships. Whatever God has called you to do, you are specifically supposed to do it because you're handmade. You're uniquely made. There's no one like you. I don't care how far your DNA runs back. There's only one you. There will only be, even if you have a twin, you are still you. So I just wanted to remind you guys that whatever you're doing, keep doing it because there's someone out there praying for you, for a you. Because there's other people that do what you do, but they don't do it the way that they need it to be done because you're the person they're waiting on. So remind yourself that when you get upset about something or when you get frustrated about where God has called you to, when you start walking by sight and not by faith, remember that God called you because your calling is unique. You're unique. There's no one else out there like you who's going to do what it is that God calls you to do like you. So, anyways, like I said, that was not a part of my message. But however, when I saw that earlier, I was just reminded of me. Then when I saw that, I laughed. I was like, ha, we couldn't find anything. It made me think of that song. Searched all over, couldn't find nobody. I looked high and low. Listen, I ain't God. I'm not Jesus. However, we couldn't find nobody. And that just reminded me that I got to keep doing what I'm doing because God called me And you may not hear this the day I record it, but you're going to hear it eventually. If this is where you need to hear it, if this is made for you, it will find you. And that brings me to the topic of discussion. See how God just transitions? Thank you. I was watching a video earlier, and it talked about what you're looking for is looking for you. And I felt that in my spirit because, I don't know, I've been in a season where I have been so busy trying to consistently make sure that I'm not missing something, consistently make sure that I have enough time in the day, and I feel like I don't. But I've been just rambling here, grabbing this, doing this, doing this. And the other day, I literally fell, you guys. Like, literally still sore from falling. Like, it's not funny. It's not funny. But when I think about why it happened, I can laugh. So, it literally took for me to fall to understand what God had been trying to tell me. It was literally the moment where I fell, getting up, getting into the house, still processing. Like, I remember telling myself, like, I don't even know how that happened. Like, there's no way logically that happened. I don't know how that could happen. And then when I got in the house, something was just like, slow down. Like, I heard it as I fell too, like, slow down. But I was like, what? Like, slow down. And then I remembered, I'm like, okay, because I have this list of things in my head going a mile per minute. I'm consistently mentally checking things off. So I have a mental checklist, and I'm going over each and every thing that I need to do. Okay, I need to do this. And then that time I specifically remember telling myself, okay, I need to get in the house. I need to get him out of the car, grab our breakfast, get in here, get his breakfast together, get my breakfast together, make my coffee, get ready for work. Then I have to get him situated so he can stay up for an hour, then give him a nap. Like, I remember literally playing like half of the day in my head within that minute. So, to be honest with you guys, I can't tell you how I feel. Like, I really can't, because my mind was so fixated on the other things that hadn't even happened yet. And so, in that moment when I fell, I literally heard something say, slow down. And so, when I got up, I looked at my son, make sure he was okay, because also I really hurt myself just also as I fell trying to protect him, because had I would have like still been zoned out, his head would have like literally the back of his head would have hit the concrete. So I went to, shelter his head or whatever. So I'm all dinged up. He has not one scratch on him. He was like traumatized from like the fall, and I asked him like, "Are you okay?" He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Okay, cool." So I get in the house, and like literally my big toe is like messed up. It's bandaged up like as we speak. Like, I don't know how that even happened. And then my knee is like scuffed up really bad. So I've been doing CPR on my knee and my toe. But anyways, that's not the point. The point of the matter is that it took for me to fall to actually realize what needed to be done. I needed to slow down. And it took for me falling to realize that I had to slow down. And even today, I got up. This happened yesterday. And today I got up thinking like, oh, it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be healed. Like, girl, like my wound, it it's like dark red. Like yesterday, it was ugly. Like today, it's like even worse. And then like trying to move, it hurts. My big toe, I could barely walk yesterday. My toe today is like okay, but my knee, oh my god, it hurts. Like, and I think it's because of where it's placed, where the scar is placed at. So it's really uncomfortable. But I went to go outside this morning to check the mail, and I'm just still going at this steady, fast pace. And my mind said, slow down. And I almost busted out in tears because I'm like, God, why am I going this fast? Like, why am I so in a rush? Why do I feel like I don't have enough time? Why do I feel like what I'm doing is not enough? Why do I feel like what I'm supposed to be doing is going to miss me somehow if I don't make a mental note? Why do I feel like I'm running on edge? I'm literally tired. Like, I'm carrying all these things and I don't have enough weight on me. I can't lift it. I can't move at a pace that I need to move at. It was it was in that moment that I realized that I had been trying to carry so much. I had been trying to do it all. And it was literally consuming me. Like, it was literally almost nearly taking me out mentally, and even physically. Because look, I hurt myself. I'm literally physically wounded. Like, for real, I'm literally like sliding across the floor. but I'm gonna be okay. But I'm like, I'm glad that it wasn't dire. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm glad that it wasn't something worse, you know? And yes, it was an unforeseen circumstance where I had to fall to actually realize that I needed to slow down. And even now, slide into the mailbox, I was like, it's so crazy because I kept saying, well, why can't I go the speed that I need to go? And it's like, girl, you just literally fell on concrete yesterday. Your knee is still healing. Your toe is still healing. And the funny thing about it is, it's my left foot and my right knee. So there's no way, like, in reality, that I could walk at the pace that I normally walk at. So I literally have to take my time, sit down, stand up, bend here, bend there. Like, I literally have to take my time now. And so I don't know if you're rushing or if you feel like, you have a mental checklist and that you feel like you're just going, going, going and you're drained. But this is your reminder to slow down. Because I would hate for your fall to happen and it's deeper than a scar, it's deeper than a scrape. I would hate for your fall to mentally wound you because you don't understand what God's trying to tell you. And you guys, yesterday, walking to that, or not, that was today. I tried to walk to the mailbox. Walking to the mailbox this morning, I literally wanted to cry because I'm just like, am I stupid? Like, I know that I fell yesterday, and I know it wasn't like a little, I didn't trip. I actually fell, like, down on the ground, bleeding everywhere, like, fell. So the fact that I got up thinking that I could just shake it off and recover, and I feel like that's what I've been doing in my life. I've been just getting wounded, taking wounds and taking hits and taking scars and bullets and dodging them, thinking, oh, I can shake it off. And then when I get up, I'm wounded. And instead of taking time to fix those wounds, to let them properly heal, I've been just patching them up, sliding on, trying to still move at a regular pace. And I had to just ask God, like, God, what is this? Why is this happening? He said, you need to slow down. You need to let me do what it is that I'm in control to do. You can't be in control. And because that you have your hand on what I have my hand on, I need you to remove your hand so that I can do what it is that I need to do. I need you to step aside so that I can take you down the path that at this time you're supposed to go on. But I can't do that if you got your hands on the wheel and my hands on the wheel. We both steering. How am I going to be in control of your control? And I literally almost came to tears earlier because I go on my daily drives and I just spend time with God and I was praying about it and I said, Lord, what are you trying to tell me? And control has been like the biggest thing that I have struggled with for a while. And it's so crazy because up until this point, I was just like, I've been doing so good. And before the year started, I was just like, I'm going to be praying about being flexible, having flexibility. Like, I've just been so stretched. I'm just flexible here, flexible there. In all reality, I have not been flexible. Like, I have tried to control every situation that has been placed in front of me. And every time that I've tried to control that situation the way that I thought things was going to happen, it did not happen. And it was a daily reminder that I'm no longer in control. I was never in control. And it's just a slap in the face because it's like you spend so much time stressing and worrying about things that we cannot control. We can't see around the corner. We can't see it in the next minute. But God knows. He sees. But it also made me remember in the actual episode of Rerouting how I talked about that, the Word of God says that we have our own plans, but God has plans for us. And sometimes we get so clung on the plans that we have that we forget that our life is not our own. We don't have any plans. Like, we have things that we would like to accomplish, but if they don't align up with what God has in store for us, they will never come to pass. So we spend our days working towards things that may never happen, if it doesn't align with God. And if it does happen, um, it's going to happen regardless. We don't have to rush it. We don't have to work ourselves to death to get to where God is going to take us, because God is sovereign. His word is true. He's not a man that he would lie. And if he said that it's going to happen, it's going to happen. It may not happen the way that we see it. It never does, right? Um, and I think for me, with this year, nothing has actually happened the way that I thought it was going to happen. Um, excuse me, my asthma is killing me, but like I said, um, every time I go to record my episode, something tries to stop me from recording, but I'm going to push through. So you guys just don't mind me breathing hard and wheezing. I literally stopped in the middle, took a treatment, and it's still wheezing. So bear with me. But yeah, I remember just praying. I keep reminding myself that I've been praying about being flexible, because I don't want to be in control. Because I don't want to be so in control that I miss what God's doing. Because I realize that in my life personally, God is doing a lot of new things, and that scares me. Just within this year alone, I have stepped out of so many areas where I was comfortable, and I have been stepping into so many unknown and uncomfortable situations. But I just keep telling myself, be flexible, because that's what I prayed. And as I tell you guys, you have to be intentional about what it is that you're asking God for and what you're praying for. So don't sit here and say, I'm going to be flexible, and then when God calls you to be that, it's like, oh no, I'm just going to revert back. Because honestly, I wasn't being disobedient when, God plucked me out of some things, but it is definitely hard. Just having to leave my church, that is still taking a toll on me. And embrace this new church is definitely uncomfortable. Stepping into a new position at my job is definitely uncomfortable. I have questioned myself as to whether I even belong here. Um, and that's why I gave that statement in the beginning, that you are unique. I have to remind myself that I am worthy of the things that God has for me. It doesn't always have to be bad. It doesn't always have to be too good to be true. It can actually just be what it is, a blessing. There's seasons where you're going to cry. There's seasons where you may want to give up. But God is still good. He's still going to provide. And why go through hell just to end up in hell? Like, you know what I'm saying? Not like physically in hell, but why go through hell just to stop there? If I'm going to go through hell, I want to get to the reward. Because that's what the devil does. He comes to steal, kill, and destroy. So why would I let him kill me, steal my joy, and destroy my happiness? I'm not. And that's what you have to tell yourself every time something comes against you. And just remember that, even if it's a test in my God, you're gonna overcome it. And if you don't, you'll go through it again. And after you get tired of going through it, you'll finally learn it. That one was not for you, just two. It was for me. But it's hard. It is really hard, because I've been asking God, I want something different. I want something new, and I just new, and flexible. And when God brings me new, I'm like, give me the old. When God shows me flexible, I'm like, I can't be stretched. So it's like, it's really hard, because I had to ask myself today, and I had to literally break it down to myself to say, what is this? What is it? And it's not just one thing, it's a bunch of things. It's comfortable. It's familiar. It feels better. It's easier. Because sometimes being flexible, it challenges you. And sometimes being challenged doesn't feel good. And I feel like I'm being challenged in every aspect of my life right now. And that is hard. That's a hard pill to swallow. I'm challenged with emotions, processing how I feel. And even like, I've had conversations with people lately, and they're like, oh, you've been so sensitive lately. You've been so vulnerable lately. And I'm just like, flexible. Because that's not typically me. It is really hard for me to be vulnerable and to show emotion and to show how I really feel. So when I do that and it doesn't get reciprocated in the way that I hoped, I get like back in this shell. God's like, nope, don't do that. Keep pushing. It'll get easier. It'll get better. You have to be able to take rejection with flexibility. because the more you flex, the better it feels. And it's just like if you get a new pair of shoes. I remember I have these pink Betsy Johnson sandals. So cute. I've worn them like twice. They are some shoes because they're like plastic like sandals. So you have to wear them like a few times to get couple of times to get used to them. So the first time I wore them, I was like, "Ooh, these are kind of uncomfortable. Like I need to go put these back in the house." But then I realized I said, "Okay, but if I wear them again, if I have a really, really, really cute outfit and I want to wear these again, I'm not gonna want to wear them because I haven't stretched them out yet." So I ended up wearing them, and yes, it was uncomfortable, but I got with the program, and I said, you know what, it's okay because the next time I wear them, it's gonna get better, and the next time I wear them, it's gonna get better. That's just like I have like some tennis shoes. The first time I wear tennis shoes, I'm like, oh, these are so uncomfortable. Once my foot shake, because I'm flat footed, so once the shape of my foot actually gets into the shoe enough, I wear the shoe enough, I'm like, okay, cool, my foot is comfortable. So, and I have to, with life, you have to take it with a grain of salt. You have to say, the more I stretch out this situation, I won't be so uncomfortable. And then when I get too comfortable and God calls me to leave my comfort zone, I have to be flexible to be in a situation where I have to be able to be stretched. If there's no room for stretching, you can't be flexible. And I think it's a hard pill to swallow. Even just sitting here saying it's a hard pill because this is what I pray for. This is what I ask for. And it's right in front of me. And it's the hardest thing I've had to do because it's not just in one area. It's in every area. I'm being flexible with, my communication and with Grace and with my job, and I'm going back to school soon, and you know, it's across the board, and that is hard. But what you can count on is that the reward is better. I'd rather be uncomfortable growing than to be comfortable staying stagnant. And once you continuously remind yourself of why you're uncomfortable, you'll understand that sometimes uncomfortable is a good thing because you don't want to get too comfortable in something to where it's like, okay, I'm going to just stay here. Because I remember starting this job last week and telling myself, like, oh, like the first couple of days I struggled. I was like, oh my God, I should just stay where I was. I had my one day off during the week. I could get my stuff done. I have doctor's appointments. I have to go to the orthodontist. My son has, his appointments. I have things I need to do. It's easier. I got off earlier. I could go to the bank. Now it's like I get off, everything is like practically closed. It's later in the day. The schedule's messed up. My son's eating later. Da da da. Instead of just saying, you know what, I have to I have to get back into with this schedule because it's new and I have to figure it out. So this week, that's what I said I'm going to do. I'm going to figure it out. So that's what I'm challenging you to do. Figure it out. And just remember that when you remind yourself that you can't do it, remember what God's word says, that He didn't equip us with the spirit of fear. Because sometimes being flexible will cause you to be fearful. Because the unknown is scary. It really is. It scares me, the unknown. It really does. It scares me half to death. Because I don't know what's coming. Um, and I think about what has came. And I'm like, God, what's next? But I also think about the fact that I've overcome. Somebody tried to steal my car. And I didn't let it get the best of me. I could have said, you know what? I'm done. I'm not doing this. I give up. I just sort of die. Even though that's how I felt, because it didn't get fixed when it was supposed to be fixed. And then there was issues with the rental and issues with the dealership. Like, it was a bunch of distractions. And so in the midst of trying to figure that out, I still had to get up in the morning, go to work, be a mom, do the things I had to do, be responsible, budget correctly because I had to pay for the car that someone tried to steal. So it's just like, God, when I asked you to be flexible, I didn't say like that. I didn't mean that. And I think, again, it comes back to just remembering that I ways are not God's ways. He doesn't think like us. So I just want to challenge you this year, this week, today, to be flexible, because there's no growing in your comfortability. Like, you can't grow being comfortable. So do something that challenges you to be uncomfortable and see how that goes. So, yep. Thank you for listening. I hope you stay tuned for more episodes. Remember, being grateful makes you gorgeous.